I would like to provide the board as well as the community an update on our status in terms of our financial situation. Mr. Chambers had shared a few months ago that it was likely or pending that we were going to be placed on a cautionary status by the State Department. The reason for this is because of our 5-year forecast. So Medina City Schools has been placed on what is called Precaution status by the Department of Educational Workforce. The Precaution status is put into place because the 3rd year of our 5-year forecast, we go into a deficit budget. Because we are in a precaution status, we have to develop a plan that shows us going into the positive, not going into a deficit in that 3rd year of the forecast. There's 2 ways in this plan that we can show that we are not going to go into a deficit per the plan. The first way is through the generation of new income, and the second way is through reductions. The generation of new income is a challenging way to eliminate the deficit, and the reason why is because we're not able to use a pending levy as a means to remove the deficit state. School districts, public school districts, are very limited on our ability to be able to find other sources of income. Therefore, in order to get out of the deficit state in year 3, we are heavily reliant on reductions. The state has a very specific plan template that we have to work through in order to outline what we are going to do so that we are not in a deficit state in year 3. Dave and I have been working with a representative from the State Department and collaborating with them in putting together a plan to ensure that we are not going to be in a deficit in year 3. In addition, we've been collaborating with our central office administrative team in order to look at areas across the district where we can make reductions so we are not in a deficit in year 3. We are formulating various areas which include personnel, administration, teaching, as well as classified personnel, as well as looking at programming where we can make reductions going into next school year in order to eliminate the deficit. As challenging as this is, this does fit within the plan that we already had in place. When we had talked with the board in previous meetings and were making decisions about placing a levy on the ballot, and made the decision for a 7.5 mil operating levy, we knew at that time that even with the passage of that levy, we were looking at $8 to $10 million in reductions over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. That equates to approximately $2 to $2.5 million in reductions each year over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. The amount of reductions that we need to make per the state's plan for year 3 of the 5-year forecast is approximately $2 to $2.5 million in reductions. So it's the same as what we were looking at in regards to what we need to make with the 7.5 mil levy passage. So what we've been studying in terms of reductions is what we had mentioned when we presented to the board. We are well on our way into the redistricting plan in terms of looking at our personnel and are looking at where we can reduce staff without making cuts. And what I mean by that is we are looking at staff that we know are going to be retiring or staff that we know have already resigned and not replacing those positions so that we don't actually have to cut individuals. We are making every effort to take that approach in order to make as many of the reductions as we can. The reality is that we're not going to be able to make all of the reductions with that strategy. However, we are going to be able to make the bulk of them. I do anticipate that we are going to be in a situation where some of the reductions will be through reduction in force. I also anticipate that some of the administrative reductions will be through either reduction in force or through cutting positions. And that's so that we can get to that $2 to $2.5 million level. All of these reductions that we're looking at with the passage of the 7.5 mil levy will be permanent reductions to the district. The good news is with the board's decision to put the 7.5 mil levy on the ballot with its passage, despite the reductions across the district, we will see a minimal impact to overall programming in the district. We will see an impact. Would anticipate that we will see some reductions to some of the course offerings at high school and middle school, as well as some increased class sizes down at the elementary levels. But nothing that should be too overwhelming at any of the buildings, and still being able to offer high quality programming at our middle schools and our high schools. The challenge and concern, as we have mentioned in the past, is with the levy. If the levy were to not pass in May, we would in March in the year 2024, we would, per the state's plan, be looking at much larger scale reductions in the district in order to meet the requirements placed upon us to not go into deficit by the state of Ohio. We will be communicating out tomorrow to staff the information that I just shared with the board, as well as sending out a communication to our parents and community as well, so that they have the information about our precaution status. We do not at this time have detail and are not prepared to share detail about the reductions, as it's an ongoing work in progress. Those details will be available by the end of February. We are required by the state to present the finalized plan to the Board of Education at our regular meeting in February. At that time, the details within that plan, including the identified reductions, will be public, and we will have a communication following that board meeting to release what that plan is and the details of that plan. My goal is to work as closely as we can with our associations throughout the course of the next month to keep them as aware as we can per our negotiated agreements as we're working through these very difficult decisions. Any questions from the board in regards to the precaution status?